And good afternoon to all you good people out there. What's going on? If you just saw our little social media announcement there, you know that you're watching All Pucked Up, brought to you by My Garage Bar and Disruption Network. I can't. I got a motor mouth today. You know, I want to talk to you guys about something before we even get started. And it's something I chime in on this every year, probably right about this time. And that is, can somebody out there please tell me why there are so many traffic lights on the Parkway? It is absolutely maddening. Like 5 lights in the course of that one little mile stretch here from Faxton, or I guess would soon to be. Is Faxton one of the hospitals that's going? Do you know?
Yeah, it is. It's all combined into one system. So
it is. Okay. So,
but when do they replace those lights with the traffic circles?
Oh,
well, that would be better.
Yeah,
said no one.
I don't know, man.
Well, that's the big plan in New York State. They want to get rid of all the traffic lights.
Yeah,
and they want to go to traffic circles.
Oh boy,
that's the huge thing.
That's the new flavor of the week. Huh?
Yeah,
crazy. I'm like, seriously though. There's no reason why it should take 20 minutes to drive. What is that? About 3/4 of a mile. Gotta be.
Well, how about when we left here last week and we got stuck behind the school bus?
Oh, God.
The school bus and the traffic lights.
Yeah.
That was great.
Let me bring you guys in here because I got the camera on me. I'm such a star, big star like me. Right now, boom, look at you guys.
Hey.
All right. Yoshi, what is going on?
Not much. It's been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
the last week and a half, but
tis the season, man.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, getting ready for the Animals Endgame show on the 27th.
Oh, yeah, brother.
Autumn Fire, we're actually going to be on EC Radio on Thursday at 2. So right here on Disruption Network. So make sure
very
you check
cool.
in.
Yeah. And Z going to do the interview.
Yeah, Z's going to be talking to us.
You guys have played so many shows together, like whether it be with Autumn Fire or Masons.
I mean, I've been playing with Nate since we were in high school. So,
yeah.
I mean, our first band was Intrinsic with Fred Marriott. So,
yes.
100 years ago, it seems like now.
And I got to give a little shout out to Fred because he's doing all of the T-shirts for this event.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
So we're going to have those at the show. I showed a couple people last night, and I hope people are interested in them, you know?
Yeah.
They forgot me on it.
Well, that was the funny thing. We put together everything, and then I sent it to Z to see what he thought. And of course, whose name was missing? Z's.
Nice.
I promise it's put on there, man. It's put on there now. So, and Scott, what's happening?
Well, I tell you, a little hockey-related story here. I don't know if you guys watched the Ranger game last night.
I did not. I was at work.
Anyway,
I'm also glad I didn't.
Well, yeah, I can understand why, but the youth hockey program I've talked about quite often, the ball hockey we do. Mm-hmm. There's this little girl. Her name is Gianna Hendrickson. All 3 of her brothers are in our program, and she's very sick. She has what's called Rett syndrome, and she's confined to a wheelchair and stuff like that. And her Make-A-Wish Foundation wish was to meet Henrik Lundqvist and the Rangers. Well, it got granted. As a matter of fact, she was on Light 98.7 last week in the morning show, and Adam Graves called in to grant it to her.
Wow.
Really?
Right?
That's awesome.
So yesterday was the game that they got to go to. She was the one who dropped the puck for the opening face-off, the ceremonial opening face-off. Her brother, Vinny, got to skate out in his goalie gear and skate out with the team for the national anthem. They were all on the ice with him, and they showed it on MSG, so I had DVR, of course. But it was just
awesome.
That's cool.
It was really, really. I mean, I'll tell you, for as much chop busting as we do about teams and all that, the Rangers really did a first-class job of that last night. That was something else.
Well, we always say that about the NHL in general. I mean,
oh yeah, absolutely,
hands down, probably the best professional sports organization.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt about it. And it was for me. I mean, it just melted my heart seeing that little girl.
Yeah.
Just the joy on her face and her family being there. It was something else.
It's amazing. We always talk about this too. That you read the headlines in a lot of the sports publications or whatever, and it's always negative.
Yeah,
always negative. Somebody got arrested. Somebody beat their wife.
Yeah.
Drugs. This, that, the other thing. And then you see the hockey headlines, and there's nothing like that. It's always like so and so did this for charity.
This hockey team went out and gave out turkeys for charity again this year.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, just
absolutely
best organization as far as the NHL goes, and probably I'm going to say the best group of athletes.
Well, I've always said it too. Is because money hasn't completely taken over hockey yet the way it has in the NHL, or not, I'm sorry, the NBA, Major League Baseball, football. I mean, granted, they're making big money.
Sure.
But it's not the absolutely insane contracts that you see yet anyway.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, that's, before anybody chimes in and like, oh, well, the football people, the players do great things there too. I know there's
they all do.
Yeah, they all do good things, but there's definitely a lot of negative publicity that you see in those sports where maybe not so much in hockey.
Maybe that's a popularity thing too.
Could be.
The NFL is probably one of the most popular sports. Where the NHL kind of flies under the radar, so they don't get all the negative publicity.
Yeah. They're the stepchild that they put at the other table for dinner. It's crazy.
Boy, it did yesterday. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Or Sunday. Oh my God.
Well, so today we were going to talk a little bit about the rankings for every week. They do the power rankings in the NHL, and so we were kind of looking at those, and I was really planning on coming in here and talking about how maybe we had a new number one in that power ranking, but once again, Washington. I mean, they're not going to move. They're solidified.
Nah.
But number 2, Colorado, and I really, really thought that Hall was going to end up in Colorado. I thought that's where it was going to happen, and I really thought
he still could though. He still could because he's not committing to the Coyotes.
He's got what
He's at the end of the season. He's a free agent.
Yeah,
and he's already said, hey, I'm just going to keep an open mind about things. I'm going to play a little bit of hockey right now. We'll talk about the contract at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So I really, truly think Taylor Hall wants to test the waters. And the Coyotes, with their cap situation, they might not be able to give him all the money that he wants.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, the Coyotes had damn well better make the playoffs and do a little bit of damage in the playoffs this year, because if not, he's going to bolt because he's so sick of being on losing teams and all that. He may take a lesser offer from a team that's more of a contender.
Well, let me ask you that. I mean, and obviously we should probably reference, that was the big trade news from yesterday.
Right.
Taylor Hall, obviously going to the Coyotes. Why do you think he went there?
Well, he had no choice. That was a trade. I mean, he didn't have a no-move clause or anything like that.
Oh, so. I thought he did. I thought he had a no-move.
I don't believe he did. And you know what? Even if he didn't, wouldn't you want to get out of New Jersey right now?
I would, but I probably would have said, like...
If he had been traded to the KHL, I think he would have taken it at that point. Okay.
I thought he had a no trade clause. No move clause, whatever they call it.
They didn't say anything about it, and they didn't say anything about him waiving it. So, but if you know what though, even if he did, why not?
Yeah.
Arizona's contending right now.
They are.
And you got to think about it for a second. Like I said, at the end of this season, he's a free agent anyway. So
that's true. He's only
why not take a shot on a team that's doing really well this year? And let's face it, the Pacific Division is weak. It's wide open, so Arizona could very well win that division. Sure. Or at least make the top 3 and make the playoffs anyway, which is something that Taylor Hall is starving to do.
Yeah.
So what the heck? Give it a shot for this season. And then if it doesn't plan out, or if it doesn't pan out, or if he just doesn't want to be there, hey, look at me, I'm for sale. Give me a big contract, and I'll come to you. At the end of the season.
Yeah,
that's all.
While we're talking about players on the move here, we should also mention your boy making the. Now I don't know if he's going to end up the KHL or.
That's remains to be seen. But for everybody who wants to scream about the LA Kings with the mutual termination of Ilya Kovalchuk's contract, they're still on the hook for that cap hit.
Yeah,
they're going to have to hit. They got that cap hit for $6.25 million next year. There's nothing they can do about that, and they understand that. And Ilya Kovalchuk got most of that $18.5 million that he signed for a couple years ago.
Yeah, you said
he was paid out.
Loaded.
He was paid out like $15 million of it because there was one big bonus that was left that the Kings paid out this past Sunday. Mm-hmm. So really, for him, he got most of the money that he wanted anyhow, and now he gets a chance to have a fresh start somewhere, whether it be in Russia or if somebody who's really starving for some goals and thinks that they can maybe put him as a power play guy, take a chance on him for a minimum contract for the rest of the season as a flyer, maybe. But the thing that it does for LA is not only it kind of ends that saga, but it opens up a contract spot for him to bring one of the younger kids up from the AHL, because that's what they really want to do anyway. They want to see what these young players can do. So it moves Kovalchuk on, gives everybody a fresh start. Okay, here, you got most of your money. Now you get to start somewhere else. We're out from underneath this. Bye-bye. The only one who really lost out of all this is the Kings owner. He had to pay all that money.
Wow.
How long is left on that contract?
1 season. He's got the rest of the season and the following season.
Next season. And
he's free to sign with anybody else now.
Yeah, it's true.
You know,
but, I mean, they're going to have to pay for the remainder of the contract, aren't they?
Well, no.
No?
They mutually agreed to terminate after that bonus was paid. Like I said, he got paid most of that, and now he can go anywhere else. They don't have to pay him any actual money anymore. So
maybe it works out for everybody.
You know,
he gets to go test himself someplace else. You guys get a roster spot back.
Right. So. And, I mean, maybe he really does want to play somewhere, and that's why he agreed to it.
Yeah.
The Kings flat out told him, look, okay, you're under contract to us, but we're not playing you, period.
Right.
Whatever's happened out, I mean, let's face it, he doesn't play defense.
No.
And that's always been a big thing with the Kings. You got to play defense. You got to come back. You got to back check this and that. That's something that and they should have known that when they signed him. That was, okay, if you wanted to sign him on a 2-year contract, see how it works out, fine. But that 3rd year was a killer.
How old is he again?
36.
36, okay.
So I don't know. It wouldn't shock me one bit if after the trade deadline, if one of these contenders doesn't get what they want, if they give him a call and say, all right, we'll throw you minimal money for the rest of the season. You want a shot to put your name back out there? Come with us.
Yeah.
But you got to prove it.
Exactly.
Because the way he's played with LA, I can't see him being better than 3rd line anywhere.
No. And that's just it.
And a guy like Kovalchuk, he's not going to want to play 3rd line minutes.
Well, and that's exactly what happened in LA. They were putting him on the 4th line.
Yeah.
Because, they had to put him somewhere. And what your 4th liners are your defensive guys, your grinders and all that, which is far from what he does, you know. So it's actually kind of on the Kings, too, for, I would say, misusing him a little bit, to be honest with you. But that's what they want, though. They want their guys playing defense, and it was a bad situation that it's good for all parties involved to be done with.
I'm trying to remember. I mean, obviously, you were with the show when he first went to the Kings.
Yeah.
Were you happy about it then?
I was, for the simple fact, you got to remember, they were just coming off that 98-point season. Mm-hmm. They got swept in the first round by Vegas, but they lost each game by 1 goal. At that time, everybody felt the one thing that the Kings really needed was a goal scorer. Yeah. They need somebody who can put the puck in the net. So I didn't like the contract. I didn't like that 3rd year. That 3rd year was like, ooh, boy. Yeah. But they didn't have to give up any high draft picks to get anybody else. They didn't have to give up any big prospects to trade for anybody else. All this really did was cost them money in cap space, right. Which, as it turns out right now, even with that cap hit next year, LA doesn't need it. I mean, they're going to be on the hook for Dion Phaneuf for $4 million next year, too, because they bought him out. Mm-hmm. You got Kovalchuk at $6.25 million, and Mike Richards is like a $1 million after that whole recapture and all that. But you know what? They don't have any big free agents they got to re-sign. They're not going to be players for any of the big free agents out there. They're not going to go after Taylor Hall. They're not going to go after Nick Backstrom. They're not going to go after any of them. So, really, what the heck do they need the cap space for? Eat it, be done with it, and be over.
Yeah.
Because by the following season, in 21-22, is when all those prospects that they've been building up over these past gutter years is when they should finally start coming to fruition. You'll have over almost $11 million in cap space coming off the books. Now you can look at going after the free agents. Now you can start looking at, okay, let's be legit contenders now.
Right.
It's kind of how it works.
So
especially in the salary cap world, you know.
So next year we're already we're already chalking that one up. Or?
No, you know what though? Here, and trying to think positive, Rich. But you know what though? I mean, they haven't been that great this year, but they've played a lot better. They've looked better losing. Let's put it that way. Last year was hopeless. Right. I mean, once the first period was over, you were sick to your stomach watching them, you know? But this year, they're at least interesting to watch. They're competitive. They're in games. They're just not getting some of the bounces, you know, still having a few problems on defense and all that. But you can tell that they're taking the next step.
Right. And
they're more and more trying to circulate those younger players in, which is what they have to do. Wait till the trade deadline when you're going to see some moves coming out of LA. I can guarantee you that.
You know, I was thinking it's a good thing we weren't live like we are now last year.
Oh.
You know, we were just doing audio because Scott used to come in with the big bags under his eyes and, you know, a lot of drinking, a lot of late nights, staring at the wall, questioning life.
It was awful.
Yeah, he was not a happy camper all the time, so very, very crazy. So let's get back to the power rankings here. I know we started on that, then we kind of drifted there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell you what the power rankings are right now. Obviously, I mentioned that we got the Capitals number 1, They have Colorado 2, the Islanders 3, St. Louis Blues 4, the Bruins 5. 6 is the Dallas Stars, 7 is the Pittsburgh Penguins, 8 is Carolina Hurricanes, 9 is the Coyotes, and 10 is the Flyers. So first of all, I'll ask you guys: is there anybody on there that you have a problem with?
I've got a problem with Philly being on there.
Yeah,
yeah. I would actually bump Philly off, and I'd put Calgary up there.
Okay. Let me see.
Especially since they've had the coaching change. Philly's gone 6-1-0.
Yeah, they currently have Calgary at 12. Yeah. But they did move up. The week before, they were at 18. So
yeah.
At least they're headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
That's a good sign. Scott, what did you...
Well, I bumped Philly, too. And even though I like what Philly's done, I just don't think they're ready for that next step just yet. At number 10, I actually have Dallas.
Really?
Even though they just had to fire their coach, which is still mysterious circumstances. Nobody really wants to talk about that. So that's kind of... at least they had a proven NHL coach that was an assistant in Rick Bowness. But to me, Dallas not being in that top 10, they have too much talent.
Yeah.
How is that not a top 10 team? And they've after that disaster start they've actually been playing very well. I mean, granted, they lost last night, but every team loses. I mean, that happens, right? But with that team as stacked as it is, I don't see how you can have them behind Philly. I don't get that. I just don't understand it. So I got Dallas in at number 10.
I want to go through a couple, I guess, notables here, just because I know we have a lot of fans for that. So Buffalo, they have at 13, and they've moved up quite a bit. They were 24 the week before.
That's right. I have them too.
You have them at 13?
Yep.
And then who else did I want? 14 for Edmonton. And one of the stats I thought was kind of telling here. And sorry, I got to keep looking over at my screen here. They said with McDavid and Draisaitl on the ice, the Islanders are outscoring their opponents 31-27 with 5-on-5. Without them, they're being outscored 24-42.
Now, and that's kind of something I'd mentioned a little while ago. It's when I was talking to Scott before we started. That seems like a situation in Edmonton where they have two lines,
right?
And then the third and fourth line are
mishmash,
not great.
Right.
They've got two solid front end lines, and then the rest is just.
But in their defense, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is now finally coming back. He's been out for a while.
Yeah.
So that's going to help them big time. My concern with the Oilers is their goaltending too. Mikko Koskinen is night and day sometimes.
Oh yeah.
One game he's world beater. The next game he plays, we could score on him.
Yeah, turnstile.
And Mike Smith is a backup. You can't do this rotation with Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen.
No.
You can't do it.
No.
He's good to give your goaltender a break every once in a while, but the days of him doing 40, 45 games a year are over.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and I actually like Mike Smith, but that's the reality of the situation.
Yep.
So, but you're right about them having two lines. But with that one line, having Draisaitl and Connor McDavid's like having two lines anyways.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's
true.
So that's a huge advantage for them. I actually had them tied at 11 with Tampa Bay.
Yoshi, your Rangers moved up too. They were 21 last week, and now they are 16.
Yeah, they've been playing really well lately. I mean, except for last night, they got shut right down by St. Louis, but they've been playing a lot better.
Yeah. And then, the big mysteries of the season that we've all talked about, Tampa Bay still hanging around 17.
That's way too low for them.
Yeah.
They've started to turn their
that's what I mean. They're going to be in top 10
weeks.
And I'm sure you're very glad to see that the Golden Knights are 18.
Who said that they have no depth? Who said that? What? Huh?
Ding, the smile.
Wow. And it's all coming true? No way.
I will say something about Tampa. It'll be interesting to see that with them this year what happens at the trade deadline, because they don't have Stevie Y pulling the trigger on some fleecing trades anymore. Right. So I'd be a little worried to see what'll happen for Tampa.
Yeah, well, don't forget they got an extra first-round pick to play with thanks to that JT Miller trade from Vancouver.
That's right.
So they still got wiggle room.
Toronto is at 19.
And sinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And
there's another team, no depth.
No. We said it a couple of years ago. That was a team that was the window opportunity, if you will.
Sure.
It's very, very, very slim.
Yep. And
I think they're kind of blowing that right now.
and you know what? It's like we said last week. Toronto and Vegas are like mirror images of each other.
Yeah. Yep.
They both need another goaltender, but neither one of them had the cap space to do it.
And they have Florida, the Florida Panthers, 23rd, dropping
That's
from
way too low for them.
dropping from 12th.
Way too low.
Yeah, the rest of them pretty much as we knew.
I'm going to tell you right now. I'll go into Puckstradamus mode here.
Oh, here we go, Puckstradamus.
Florida is going to be that team that turns it on in the second half.
Think so?
Oh yeah,
I think so because they had a lot of new parts come in, new coach, new goalie, but they've had the first half to kind of figure things out, try to figure out how to mesh with each other. After that All-Star break, you watch. They're going to go on a run. You watch.
And it took Bobrovsky a little while.
It did, but now he's finally.
But he's starting to get some wins in too. So.
Then the poor guy, he finally starts playing like Bob, and then all of a sudden the offense just goes, "Oh, we're going to take a break."
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now we can go to sleep. Hey, let me ask you guys. So one of the things I asked for you guys to do this week is come up with your own top 10 for the power rankings. You guys want to take a crack at it?
Sure.
All right. Who wants? You guys want to go back and forth? You want to?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. So who did you have? We'll start from 10 up.
Yeah.
Who'd you have at 10?
At 10, I put Calgary at 10.
Okay. Yep.
9, yeah.
And
Well, I had Dallas, but it was really hard for me to pick between Dallas, Edmonton, and Tampa Bay.
okay.
But I went with Dallas for now,
For
just
now.
because they to me they are just the slight edge better team right now. But I would really be leery of leaving Tampa Bay out of the top 10 for too much longer.
Okay. What about 9?
At 9, I had the Yotes at 9. I really didn't change mine much. I mean, the analysts at the NHL, I think, did a pretty good job picking their top 10 this week.
Yeah.
I really couldn't. There's a couple I moved around, flip-flopped, and a couple I really had some questions about. But really, the Yotes I had at 10.
Mostly Philadelphia.
Or 9. Yeah, mostly the Flyers because they just, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you just like straight out. I mean, was there any big number ones in there we don't know about or anything like that?
No, I kept the Caps right at 1. That's that's right where they deserve to be.
Okay. Scott, what about you?
I have Carolina in number 9. Carolina just seems to be one of those teams that does everything well. Even with Aho not having he's still a great player, but he's not having that dominant season just yet that he was doing last year.
He's starting
to turn it on, exactly. And that's exactly it. I mean, I keep waiting for this whole Pete Mrazek train to fall apart, and it's just not happening. I don't know what it's like. The magic wand was waved over him in Carolina or something. But no, I think number 9 is a good spot for them. And don't forget, they may get Justin Williams back. He's still mulling coming back. They say he's skating on his own now. He hasn't, thrown in the towel yet where he's just going to say, you know what, I'm not going to come back. I'm just going to eat a bunch of Christmas cookies and watch you guys play. Nope, he's staying in shape. He's still thinking about it.
Christmas cookies.
I know because I had like 10 of them over the weekend. But but no, I think I think that's a good spot for them. I thought that run last year in the playoffs was a little bit fluky. Mm-hmm. Maybe not so fluky as it turns out. They do have a solid core. So I don't think they're going to go away.
Yeah, we were wondering about that last year.
Yeah.
Right towards the end of the season, we're like, what happened?
Is this just a matter of everything going right for them at the right time, or what is this really this good a team? And I tell you, they got a solid defense core.
Yeah.
And you build from your goal crease out. And man, I tell you, they got some parts to work with.
And that's funny too, because remember 2 years ago we were talking about like attendance in that building, and everything was just.
Oh yeah,
but they're still not. They're still not filling the building.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
the thing.
True. But,
Same thing with Florida.
Well, Florida's never going to.
Jeez,
that's part of living in Florida. They don't realize.
Well, no, Tampa Bay fills their building every night.
There's the
Florida doesn't even come close.
The location of the Panthers arena is a big problem.
I get that, but you know what? That team it's got that much talent. If you're a hockey fan, you'll go to it.
Yeah.
Right now, think about it. Like with us, if there was an NHL team in Syracuse, wouldn't you go see them?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
I'd be going up there every chance I got. Right, especially with a team that's loaded with talent like that.
I will say this though, having lived in Florida for a couple years, like we were in Orlando, and I got to tell you, like you would ask anybody about hockey, and they're like, "What's a hockey?" And like,
Yeah, right.
it's like you're on an island.
But could you imagine those free agents that they brought in? Like, oh, come on, you can live on the beach. It's gonna be 80 year round.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, guys, we're moving to Quebec City. Joke's on you.
So what did we have? Number
That was 9.
yeah. So what's your 8?
My number 8, I got the Winnipeg Jets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The Winnipeg Jets are just doing it. To quote the old Nike ad. Everybody thought they were going to fall apart. Between the whole Dustin Byfuglien thing going on, Jacob Trouba being gone, and Tyler Myers moving on, and you know what? That team just seems to have galvanized. And they really have come together. Neil Pionk, who came over in that Kevin Hayes trade, what an underrated player he's been. He's been spectacular for them this year.
Yeah, he just got bumped up to the first power play.
Yeah. I mean, everybody thought that the Rangers completely ripped him off in that trade. I wouldn't call that a complete rip-off at this point.
No.
Everybody got what they wanted. They got what they wanted. Both teams did.
Yeah.
But I think Neil Pionk is for real. And I'll tell you right now, Connor Hellebuyck has got to be the pick for the Vezina so far.
Absolutely.
Has to be. I mean, he's kept them in it. And Paul Maurice has just done an amazing job behind the bench, given what has happened with that team. And it helps that their big guns are now they're big guns. Mark Scheifele's doing really well. Blake Wheeler's finally turning it on. Even Patrick Laine is starting to show a little bit of consistency, and Kyle Connor is just a revelation.
Yeah.
So they keep this up, and all of a sudden, Winnipeg Jets, who everybody slept on, including myself,
Yeah. Yep.
here they come. Look out.
I have to apologize because I keep looking over here. I have
I keep seeing the video playing on that.
I have our screen going on, and did you ever notice? Like, I think NHL.com is infamous for this, where you pull up things and the videos just start
playing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm so nervous that I'm pulling something up over here, and we're going to be talking. And it's just boom, all of a sudden.
It's like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah. So, who do you have at 7, Scott?
That was my 8. We didn't get Yoshi's 8.
Oh, you want to do your 8?
Yeah, I put Pittsburgh at 8.
You like those wins they're getting, huh?
They're lucky. I mean, 3 shutouts by Tristan Jarry there. That's just
Not against LA, though.
Oh boy, but Jarry, man, I'll give it to him. But also the thing, no Crosby,
no Crosby, no Malkin. I mean, that's
huge.
how they're able to keep it going.
The magic of Brian Rust. So, who do we have at? Let's see, where we have for you? 7.
We're at 7. Yeah. I have to go with Taylor Hall's new team, the Arizona Coyotes.
Okay,
I got to. They've just much along the same lines as Winnipeg, just a complete team concept going on there. And Darcy Kemper, if Connor Hellebuyck doesn't get Vezina consideration, it's got to be Kemper.
Yep.
I mean, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing what Rick Tockett's done out there.
I agree.
I give him all kinds of credit. He's got them buying into that system, much like what happened when Craig Berube took over for the Blues. Mm-hmm. You're into the system or you're out of it.
Yep.
And if you don't want to be a part of it, hit the road. And I'll tell you, it's working for him. It is. That was a really good thing that they did going after Taylor Hall. You have to do that move. You have to.
Yeah.
Because like we were talking, before the show, with a fan base that's been disappointed year after year after year after year, ownership changes left and right. You're trying to build some stability. You finally have a team that's winning. They're actually in first place. So you make this deal to prove to your fans, hey, listen, after years of telling you we're building up prospects and we're building up from the young core and all that, you make this trade because you want to prove to your fans that you're going to win, that you want to win, that you're serious about winning.
Yeah, you have a commitment to it.
Right.
So
whether they are able to sign him in the offseason is going to be very interesting to see because they are buttered up against the cap, much like a lot of teams are. But that, like we were talking about, that Marian Hossa trade all of a sudden wasn't such a good idea. Taking on all those dead contracts between Datsuk, Chris Pronger. They had the all-90s team in 2007, right?
Right. When it did him a ton of good.
But on the same token, too, they got a lot of their young core locked up already. So we'll see. But like we were talking earlier, too, they better make the playoffs or Taylor Hall's going bye-bye.
Yoshi gave us your 8, right? So you're on 7.
I swapped the Canes and Pittsburgh from the NHL. I think the Canes have been playing a lot better hockey lately, and Aho's really starting to find his game. He had a 5-point night last week. I think it's really I think come mid-season break and onwards, they'll start lighting it up and crawling back up like they did last season.
You know who's been amazing is Jacob Slavin.
Yeah,
Man. But the only thing I wonder is Dougie Hamilton going to be able to keep this up? This goal-scoring prowess of the big red machine from the blue line there? Or?
Let's jump on this because actually I'm looking at our time. Wow, we're flying on this today. 6. Who'd you get?
The Pittsburgh Penguins.
You put them at 6.
I did.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why. For what we just mentioned.
Yep.
They're doing this without Crosby and Malkin. And really without Matt Murray.
yeah.
Without Matt Murray.
Yep.
Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, though, I don't think this Tristan Jarry thing is going to last.
It never does.
I don't think it is.
No.
And it may fall apart at the most inconvenient time for you.
Yeah. Sooner or later.
But you know what, though? Ride that train while you can. Why not? I mean, because you know what? I think this is going to benefit the Penguins in the long run because it always seems when Matt Murray gets to have an extended absence, he always seems to come back strong.
Yeah.
Right?
Get himself a nice little.
So maybe he's got his little vacation now. He's got his vacation earlier than he usually takes it.
holiday vacation.
Yeah, exactly. So he gets to go have Christmas cookies. But no, this is absolutely incredible what they've done. I give Coach Sullivan all the credit in the world. Yeah, I really do. As much as I like to bust your chops about the Penguins, no joke. No joke at all. Now, I think that they're going to have to make a couple deals to be able to keep this going.
Yeah.
I don't see them having, anybody coming up from Scranton, Wilkes-Barre Wilkes-Barre Scranton, sorry, this season that's going to come up and be the saviors, much like Zach Aston Reese had been. Teddy Boucher has actually not been too bad. Joe Marino came up; he has been bad, but is it going to last?
Well, that's the thing about it. I think they've kind of dug so deep over the past few years that it's like sooner or later you're going to kind of run out of names there.
Right.
But
right.
Who'd you have at 6?
I had Dallas, and I kind of questioned that. I mean, only with the firing of their coach, who was a very defensive-minded coach.
Absolutely.
And now their defense coach
Yeah.
is taking over the head coaching duties, which is kind of where they're hurting anyway. So I kind of bumped them down to 11. I put Winnipeg.
Okay.
I put Winnipeg at 6.
Interesting thing about Dallas, though, did you notice that they put the Sagan, Ben, and Radulov line back together?
They did. After they had to bench Radulov for the game because he's been
All of a sudden,
awful this season.
the old Radulov is showing up.
I'm actually looking at one of that. It's through 34 games, Jamie Benn has just three goals.
Yeah.
Is that right? Wow, 3 goals.
I wouldn't expect that to last, though.
No.
I think he's, how we talked about, like as far as second half runs, it's going to be Florida.
Yeah.
I think as far as like individual player, I think you're going to see Jamie Benn turn it on in the second half.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. And wow, that's some dismal thing.
And like I said, and don't forget, that whole team had just a abysmal start. I mean, through the first 10 games, they had like 1 win. Couldn't score to save their lives.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're got kind of behind the 8 ball as it was right there. But
Scott, who's your 5?
the Boston Bruins.
Boston Bruins. Keeping it right what they got, huh?
Yeah, I wanted to rank them higher, but I can't. For the simple reason, Boston is a great team. They really are. I worry about their depth.
Yeah.
I really do. And as great of a player as Patrice Bergeron is, he's a guy who's playing maybe a half to 3/4 of a season now. I mean, he gets hurt a lot, right?
Yeah, he does.
So how many more times can you avoid that landmine of having Bergeron out of your lineup for 2-3 weeks and keep it going? I mean, granted, David Krejci's a very capable replacement. He's not Bergeron, but he's good. But they need to add some more pieces. They need a little bit more scoring. They might even need a little bit more depth on defense. That's where they always seem to get hit with the injury bug, too.
Yeah.
So with that Eastern Conference being as competitive as it is, and let's face it, the Atlantic Division is not what we thought it was going to be. It was completely turned on its ear this season.
Yeah.
Really. Who knew Buffalo was going to be this good?
Yeah.
Who knew Toronto was going to be this bad? But
Exactly.
who knew Tampa Bay was going to be this bad?
Yeah,
So
there's a lot.
So
of,
that's actually really helping Boston, to be honest with you, staying in that top 3 contention like that, not having to deal with the Goliaths out of Tampa Bay and Toronto so far. Now, like I said, I think Tampa Bay is going to turn it around, and they're going to do it in a hurry. Toronto, I don't think so much so, but right now, number 5 is a pretty appropriate place to have the Boston Bruins.
Okay. Coach?
I put the Bruins. I did right. I have a little note here that says overrated. I'm just not a Bruins fan. But, They're kind of on a little bit of a skid right now. I mean, they're kind of back and forth, win, lose, and when they're losing bad.
Right.
Like I don't know how they're keeping Rask supplied with sticks because.
Did you see that? That was awesome.
The one in practice.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably going to have a pretty similar between you guys for the number 4 through 1 here. But Scott, who do you got for 4?
I got the Islanders.
Oh, okay.
I got the Islanders at 4. Barry Trotz is an astounding, amazing coach. Mm-hmm. Amazing. The Islanders just need one more piece, I think. I think they just need another scorer.
Like a John Tavares?
No, actually, that's the best thing that ever happened to them. Him leaving. That was the best thing that could have happened.
Really now.
You know? So, yeah, what do you think about that now, Johnny T? Huh? How's that working out for you in Toronto? But, no, I think they need one more guy who can put the puck in the net.
Okay.
That's what they're missing. And the other thing they're going to have to decide in the second half of the season, who's going to be their number 1. Because it's working now, this one-on, one-off between Grace and Varlamov. Once you get closer to the playoffs, you got to have that one guy that's going to grab the reins and go.
Yeah. Well, it's like we've been saying. It's just a matter of time before Varlamov gets hurt anyway.
Well, that's very true. And you know what? They could also maybe use one more puck-moving defenseman, too.
Yeah.
Who'd you have for your 4?
I kept the Blues right there.
Okay.
They've really, I mean, they moved up quite a bit, too, on the rankings, even in the NHL, right?
Yeah, they were, let's see, what did we have them? No, actually, they stayed 4-4.
4-4. Yeah, they've been finding their game. O'Reilly's really been getting assists and moving the puck well, and I don't see him moving anywhere. I see him pretty much staying probably right there for a while, 4th. They just got a good team.
Right on. What about your number 3 there, Scott?
Number 3, I got the Colorado Avalanche.
Okay. Right.
And you know what the thing with Colorado is? You know who they remind me of? Boston last year. What do they have? Because they always have, it seems like, a key piece is hurt.
Yeah,
so you just don't know what they really, really are.
Yeah.
Grubauer has been hurt twice already this year.
Yep.
You know, Makar looks like he's going to be out a little bit longer than they thought. At first they were talking about it being day-to-day. Now they've got him on injured reserve.
They put him on IR, yeah.
So, granted, they finally have Rantanen back. Landeskog's back, too.
Yep.
So, Kadri's back. So, their offense is now finally starting to come together. But now the other half of the team is, in the infirmary, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think that, like I said, once they get completely healthy, we'll see what they really got. And they're going to be big players, I think, come trade deadline. They're just going to fill in holes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And they got the cap space, and they got the prospects to do it, too.
Yoshi, who'd you have?
I pretty much followed right along with the NHL, and I went Isles, Avs, Caps for the top 3.
Okay. All right. And then for your 2.
I got the St. Louis Blues.
Okay.
You want to know, because, number 1, it's very hard to bet against the champs.
It is.
1. 2, the one thing that the Blues have this year that they didn't have last year, even when they went on that amazing run, Jake Allen's actually remembered how to play goal. So now they don't have to ride Jordan Binnington into the ground. They can actually put Jake Allen in and say, hey, we got a shot.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas last year, it's like, okay, this is the game that we're going to lose.
Okay. You got to circle the
that's it. That's it. So, no, it's very hard to pick against the champs. We'll see what happens come trade deadline because they're going to have some decisions to make anyways in the offseason. Pietrangelo being the big one.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are they going to pay him? What are they going to be willing to pay him is actually the better terminology for it. But I still think St. Louis is actually the team to beat in the West at this point.
I agree with that.
And, yeah, I mean, Colorado is nipping at their heels.
Yep.
And, like, it's going to be very interesting to see when they get completely healthy. But it's like Ric Flair once said, to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Yeah.
And I would love to see a St. Louis-Colorado conference final. That would be awesome.
You might see that. So let's see. And you were the Avs on 2, right?
Yeah, I was on the Avs on 2. They're a great team, and it's shout out to my buddy I went to college with. He grew up in Colorado, and he's always been an Avs fan. And I was razzing him a couple of years ago about how bad they were, and they were just missing the wild card, And now they're one of the best teams in the West, and it's good for them, man.
Man, Joe Sakic looks like a genius right now.
I know.
Oh my God.
That That pick they stole from Ottawa,
I know.
The car was probably the best trade they ever made.
And of course, number one, obviously, we all have the Caps. So, right, Caps.
Yeah, they're number one, but they're not number one like this by this huge margin.
No,
They're just right now. They just happen to be the best of the best, really. Obviously, of course, but just because they're such a complete team right now, they've got everything working right for them. And of course, you're going to see Braden Holtby go crazy because he's in a contract here. So all of a sudden, he's going to turn into super goalie, of course, pretty soon here. And but like I said, with the year John Carlson's having, Ovechkin's not slowing down. They got Backstrom back now. Kuznetsov has looked great this year.
Oh yeah,
and Jacob Verana.
Yep.
Has finally lived up to the potential that they've been saying that he was the guy for this long. Mm-hmm. Guess what? He is.
I'm looking at the little note they have here with it, and it's they scored 10 goals in 3 games this week, and only one of them was scored by Ovechkin. So
there you
you're
go.
Getting production from the other
Everybody else.
Yeah, that's a nice little thing there. So, Scott, I think we might have a treat for you this week. Let me check something. Hold on.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
As my headset pops out here. I think we have your music for...
No way.
Yeah. I think. Now, I'm going to play it. The last time we tried to do this, I think
All right.
Ray's House Money popped up. So let's see if it works this week. If not, we're going to cut it real quick. We'll come right back to you. Let's see. So, do we have it?
Who the hell are you?
Wah. We don't.
Well.
I wonder why it keeps doing that. Because we actually do have the music, but it's constantly defaulting over to Ray's House Money. That's all right. We're going to ask you the question anyways. What's your trivia?
The breakaway trivia for today, and I'm not even going to bother going over about the rule. I'll give you the question quick because I know we've been running a little over on time. The President's Trophy. The cursed President's Trophy was first presented. It's, by the way, that's for anybody who doesn't know, that's for the team that scores the most points in the regular season.
Yep.
Okay, so it was first presented after the 1985-86 season. Who has won the most President's Trophies?
Ooh. Okay.
The answer when we come back.
And we're already back. Look at that. They're quick on these breaks here. So quick that Yoshi didn't even know we were back on.
At the Disruption Network here, we are user-friendly.
That's right.
We come right back from commercial break.
What's your trivia again?
All right, so the trivia is the President's Trophy, the cursed President's Trophy, was first presented after the 1985-86 season. It's given to the team that scores the most points in the regular season. What I want to know is who has won the most President's Trophies?
And I'm going to tell you right now, someone just came in and blew it out of the water.
He did, too.
Z actually came running in from the side and was like, is it?
The Detroit Red Wings.
Boom, and he was right.
With 6 of them. He sniped it.
He did. Sniped it from the other room. Took it from the corner. So, yeah.
So take heart, Red Wings fans. You always got that to fall back on because I don't know what the opposite of the President's Trophy is, but you're definitely going to win that this year. So the toilet trophy, a little toilet seat maybe.
You were saying that the Rangers actually have more than
I thought. There was the Rangers have 3 or 4 of them. I think it was 4.
They won it in 94.
Yep.
When they won the Cup. They got it the year after they lost the Stanley Cup final to LA.
Yep. So and then there was another one in the beginning of the 2010 decade too. I think it was the 12 season.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. I was looking. I'm like, wow, really? I go, okay.
Who knew?
But everybody knows that if you win the President's Trophy, it's pretty much a guarantee you're not winning the Cup.
Not winning the Stanley Cup, exactly.
Matter of fact, I think Detroit was actually the last team to do that in '97.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
And the rule is you're not supposed to touch it. And the year the Rangers won the Cup, Messier touched the President's Trophy.
Yeah.
Picked it right up. So I guess don't follow the rules.
Well, I don't know because you're not supposed to touch the conference trophy either, and the Rangers pretty much mauled it in 14 when they won it. So.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
I always laugh at all these superstitions.
I know, right?
You're like, Jamie from our 3 and Out show. He's another one with the superstitions. It cracks me up because he'll come over and we're watching football or any game, and in the middle of the game, if his team's not winning, he'll literally go home and he's got to change all his clothes and then he comes back. course, he misses like half the game because he's changing his clothes.
When the Comets were on their win streak at the beginning of the season, my sister did not wear a different. She wore the same jersey to every game and refused to wash it until they lost.
Ooh.
Superstitions. I don't like when my teams make the playoffs, when like the Rangers make the playoffs or the Comets make the playoffs, I won't wash the jersey until they're out.
So imagine like those jerseys might be pretty ripe by the time you're
I mean, I'm not sweating or anything in it. I mean,
I was going to say, wait a minute. If your team's in the playoffs, you better be sweating.
Yeah, really.
Well, I'm thinking because I usually spill beer and everything else.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a hot mess. I usually have like ketchup on all my.
Yeah, I'm not going to say they're not stinky by the end of the playoffs. But
so let's dive into this conversation because we're running out of time here. But the big thing, I caught your conversation, the two of you guys online you were having this weekend. I thought that'd be great for our show. And it was basically talking about Gretzky, and obviously everybody knows Gretzky's the greatest of all time. Nobody's even close in that conversation. But we were trying to figure out how would he be? How would his stats look if he played in this current era, if like the current NHL? And Scott, you had some points on that you were pointing out. So let's have it.
I don't know that he would get to 200 points. But the thing with Wayne Gretzky was, you know, and I hear it from all over the place, you know, about how, well, the players are so much stronger, they're so much faster today, they're so much more, they're bigger. And it's like, okay, great, and you're right, they are, and they train year round, and they have all these training facilities. You're absolutely right. Wayne Gretzky never beat anybody by being stronger than them, by being faster than them, by being bigger than them. He beat everybody with his brains. Okay, he was actually thinking 3 or 4 steps ahead of on the ice than anybody else was.
Right.
So, with that said, you're right. The athletes are bigger and more physical, or more like athletes, I guess.
Yeah.
But back in the 80s and the 90s when he played, you had people you had monsters out there too, and it was a much more physical game back then.
Yes, it was.
Much more physical. I mean, you had the clutching and grabbing that was out of control. You had the 2-line pass that he had to contend with. There was none of this, you know, runaway, breakaway hockey that you see nowadays. 3-on-3 overtime? Wrong. You know, that was never in existence, right? So I realize that the 80s were a higher scoring era, and I know where you're going to go with the goalies, and I'm going to have a counterpoint for that too. But I also want to look at the fact that look at the equipment that Wayne Gretzky used compared to what these players have nowadays.
No,
these
super lightweight.
These sticks that they've got now, they're like bow and arrows.
Yeah.
I mean,
You go to any sports store and you pick up a brand new hockey stick.
You almost toss it. If you're used, like I grew up with a wood stick. I play beer league hockey and I still use a wood stick.
Yeah.
I can't use those composites. It drives me nuts. They're so light and you just can't feel the puck. But you go to pick up one of those composites, you almost throw it to the ceiling. You're just trying to pick it up because Wayne Gretzky used a Titan. And let me just tell you a quick story about those Titan hockey sticks, okay? When I was maybe 10, 12, 13, somewhere around there, when the Utica Devils came in, okay? And Gretzky always used a Titan. Well, back then, you didn't have online shopping. You couldn't, go online and order a hockey stick. Good luck finding a Titan anywhere around here because all you had was Kleins. Remember Kleins? And they didn't carry Titans, right? So that was like my dream as a kid. I wanted a Titan hockey stick like Wayne Gretzky had. I got to have one, right?
You get a Coho.
Yeah, pretty much. I had Milek, too.
Was it.
Yeah, Coho and Milek. That's what I had, So, anyways, the Devils come into town, and towards the end of the first season, they had one of those, the sales where they're getting rid of all the players' equipment and all that. Mm-hmm. Paul Eisebart, who was a Utica Devil, used the same Titan that Wayne Gretzky did. Well, sure enough, didn't they have one for sale at the end of the year at a game? And I actually had the $20 on me for my paper route. Okay,
$20.
So I spent my father was furious. I can't believe you spent all that. I'm like, I don't care. I want that Titan.
All 20 of
all $20.
All $20. Now back then back then that was big money.
Go to a Comets gear sale and see what's up.
Yeah, right.
Here's a pair of socks for $75.
Exactly, right. But for a 12-year-old with a paper route, $20 is like a substantial investment, right?
Absolutely.
Let me tell you something about that Titan. You could kill somebody with it.
Really?
It is lumber. It's like carrying a tree. It really is. It's that heavy. So there's a reason why they said those things never broke, because you would have to literally run it over with the Zamboni to break it. Maybe.
Playing with a redwood.
Exactly. So you got to think that this guy's carrying around a redwood in his hands instead of these lightweight, whippy, bow and arrow sticks.
Yeah.
Then look at the rest of the equipment that they had, too. These players today have these custom form-fitted skates where they, any single little type of technology available, the lightweight titanium, blah, 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 blah. I mean, these guys are basically wearing the low-end CCM tax.
Yeah.
Really. You look at their shoulder pads. I mean, they had basically a cloth over their shoulders. Mm-hmm. Now these guys are protected. They look like knights in shining armor out there if they take their jerseys off, okay? So what I'm saying is the equipment that these guys have available today is so much better. And I just wonder if Gretzky or Lemieux, especially with that shot of his, I'm convinced that if Mario Lemieux used those sticks that they use today, he could easily put a puck through a refrigerator. Easily.
Probably.
Okay? But even not just Gretzky, even the rest of those high-scoring guys from that era, Yzerman, Dale Howardchuk, Pat LaFontaine, okay? And it's not like the rest of the era was full of garbage players. You had Paul Coffey, you had Ray Bourque, Phil Housley was another one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's not like Gretzky was competing against nobodies either. So would he have gotten 200 points in this day and age? Kind of hard to believe that he would have, but I can tell you right now, he'd be leading over Connor McDavid. He'd be leading over Sidney Crosby, I'm sorry, but he would. Yeah. Because Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby still do it more physically than they would do as far as like the mental gymnastics that Gretzky did. Mm-hmm. And that, my friend, goes a long way, and that's why you'll never see anything like what Gretzky did ever again.
Yeah. Yosh, what's your point there?
I'm going to take the counterpoint on this, I guess. Well, I'll agree with Scott. There's no way. You'll never see another 200-point season out of any player that's currently in the league. And Gretzky was very, very, very smart. Very, very high hockey IQ. But, I mean, the game is so much different now. I mean, the way just the way the goaltenders play and the size of the goaltenders. I mean, you've got goalies out there like Jacob Markstrom. He's, 6'7"?
Yeah.
And so once you put all the pads on him, he pretty much takes up the whole net.
Yeah. But there's another point, though, too. Now, with goalies today, would they be as good as they are today back in the 80s?
Oh,
think about it. I mean, those guys those goalies back in the 80s had these monster leather pads.
Pillows, yeah.
So now the goalies have all this lightweight foam, and they're bigger, but the goalies back then had to wear 17,000 pounds of gear to protect themselves because the gear wasn't as good either.
Well, I think the style they play too.
Oh, sure,
now
absolutely.
with the butterfly and even just the hybrid between stand up and butterfly, I think the way the goalies play is a lot different, and you see a lot more too with players. You see a lot more two-way players. You don't see defensive defensemen anymore, and you see forwards playing both ends of the ice.
Okay, go ahead. I'll counterpoint a minute.
Okay. Well, yeah, you see
a lot show of counterpoint.
You see a lot more forwards that play both ends of the ice a lot better than back then. I mean, you don't have the goons anymore. You don't have the Broadway bullies, whatever. You don't have the goon squad on the ice anymore to take care of these guys when they're skating down the ice. But I mean, while Gretzky did have a great hockey IQ, you watch the game and it's just like any other star player. Where was Gretzky's home? Right behind the net. Where's Ovi's home? The top of the left circle. I mean, it's while they're smart, it's predictable, but for some reason other teams just couldn't figure it out. Like everybody when the Caps play, everybody goes after Backstrom. While Ovi's standing over there wide open. Oh, let's pass it to him. And nobody's on him.
Well, I mean, back then, it's not like the centers didn't play two-way. I mean, if you think about a guy like Guy Carbonneau, Steve Casper, they used to play what they called shadows. Mm. And you don't see that anymore, where a team would take, say, a Guy Carbonneau. You're going to follow Wayne Gretzky around the ice, and I don't care where he goes. I don't care if he goes up into the concession stand and grabs a hot dog. You're going to follow him up there.
Yeah.
Okay? So
man-to-man, huh?
Exactly, and that's exactly it. You don't see that anymore.
No.
And for the life of me, now that you mentioned Ovi, if you think about it, they tried to do that back in the 80s and 90s with the shadows around. There's no way Ovechkin's going to stand there all by himself, hammering 15 shots a goal on game, and nobody's going to pay attention to him because they're worried about Backstrom and Carlson and all that.
Yeah.
There's no way he gets that much open space all the time. Not a chance. I think it's very, very interesting, and it's so hard to compare eras in any sport.
Oh, it is
really, because everything changes so much, But I think it's interesting to compare it all. I think, take some of the players from today and put them back then.
Yeah.
Now you say it's more wide open, which it was back then.
Yeah.
And were the goalies as athletic? No, but I think they would be a little bit lost too because they're using, somebody so much as touches you on your number right there. That's 2 minutes interference.
Yeah.
Back then, you could put somebody through the glass. Well, it's just part of the game. Sorry.
Stayed away.
If you've watched any AHL hockey lately, the refs have been really nitpicky about penalties. It's
right.
Bad.
It's funny because I think about these kinds of conversations, and I think the biggest one everybody always talks about is like, well, what if like somebody like a Mike Tyson fought a Muhammad Ali, and it's funny because you can compare. There's no equipment in that conversation.
Right.
That is just skill and physical. Right. But with these, you have other players to consider. You have gear to consider,
and they didn't have standard rinks back then. In Gretzky's day, the Boston Garden was 185 by 70. It was a little bandbox.
Yeah.
Nowadays, all the NHL rinks have to be 200 by 85. Not saying that all of them were like that back then. Most of them were at the standard. But a lot, especially the original 6 rinks for some reason, were not to NHL size standards at that point because they were older rinks.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't make it happen, But the amenities that are available to the players today,
God,
no way, forget about it. Now, I will say in their defense, today's players do a lot more traveling. There's a lot more time in the air.
Yep.
So, but with that said, too, back then teams were much more familiar with each other because there was only 21 teams. So you saw the other teams a lot more, and you just got to pick up on their tendencies a lot more too.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's all these factors at play that it's really fascinating when you think about it. Well, how would that actually work out?
The debate rages on. I don't know if you will ever really solve that. But.
I don't think so either.
I think, and just one more thing. Did you see Patrick Kane pass Crosby?
No, I missed that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I just wanted to get that little dig in there.
Of course you do. Oh boy! So
no, I missed that.
Anyways, we're short on time. We got to get out of here. Are we doing a Christmas show? Are we not?
Sure.
Yeah. Are you available for Christmas?
Yeah.
Do it the 23rd. Yeah. Come on.
Oh, that's the day before Christmas Eve, so we're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah. Let's do a Christmas show.
All right. So
spread some holiday cheer.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we can.
Well, come on, Bob Cratchit.
Let's get out of here, guys. I gotta give way to who do you got on the show today?
Matt Caustic.
Oh, Matt Caustic's going on.
But
So I'm not the only ones with computer problems here today. So
that's why it's all screwed up today.
yeah. I feel like my head's on a swivel this whole show. So it's all good though. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching, and apparently we will be back for a Christmas show, right?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, guys, enjoy the games. We'll talk to you next week. See ya.
See ya.
Later.